Yeah, seeing a picture of Jay Leno next to Gene in the car, like I don't know, can I use that for the thumbnail? Be like Jay
Uh,
Leno in the wasteland? It'll just be
yeah,
zoomed in on his face.
yeah, you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah, what's Jay Leno's deal in the wasteland? My co-host Universa.
hmm Yeah, I saw Jay Leno yesterday. He drove past us and waved, and then we're like, "Can we take a selfie?" And he's like, "Sure." And then two Pia's brother asked him, and then he just like sped to get away
Oh,
from people.
and then well, then you got to ask them like, hey, so what the fuck was that with Conan, man?
Yeah,
What the hell, dude?
yeah.
Brozif.
That
I got.
was funny.
That's cool that you saw him. I'm not rating on that parade at all. That is genuinely
Yeah,
cool. I would have done the same thing. He
yeah,
just needs to know that Conan still has shooters out here for him.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, as someone who doesn't really watch late night, what happened between those two?
Oh,
That's an excellent question, my co-host as well,
yeah.
Maxwell Deering. It's great to see you again, my friend. We haven't seen each other in a minute, but yeah. So to answer that question, uh, when Jay Leno was originally going to retire from the Tonight Show, it was going to go to Conan O'Brien, who was wrapping up his own show, right? And then it goes to Conan, and Leno can't really get anything else off the ground because I'll say it, I don't think he's that talented. I don't think he's that funny. Like I don't think he's that great swell of a fella. Um, whatever that could mean. And I think he just gets cold feet about like leaving the show and like I don't have anything else. I
hmm
want to go back.
Yeah.
And the NBC executives, this is a really watered down version of it, but this is basically what happened. The NBC executives let that happen. And so they take the show back from Conan after a short
Yep.
stint.
That's what happened.
And
Mm.
that basically kills Jay Leno's like legacy. Like we know Jay Leno, Gene and I, and like other people above our age groups. Younger people don't know Jay Leno anymore
Mm,
because there's no reason to. Like
yeah,
it made
they
him
know
look bad.
Conan, they know Fallon, they know
And Conan,
Myers. Yeah,
Conan, he's a true like comedy legend at this point, you know.
yeah,
And he's someone who clearly loves it. He loves working with people, you know. He loves playing to a crowd. His Hot Ones thing was like legendary. Like that was like an instant all-timer.
yeah.
Like I think that's known as like one of the best ones. Like right off the bat, everyone's like, "That's the shit right there." That's why we love this guy. Jay Leno's not going to have that now.
Right.
Mm. But he got himself,
Well,
Gene got himself with Jay
yeah.
Leno, so it's
So it's
cool.
like,
And
yeah,
so Gene
yeah.
gave him a little social status boost.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, did Jay retire when he initially left the show, or was he retired, or was he like, I want to do other things?
I think it was like, I want to do
Mm,
other things. I
yeah.
don't remember specifically
Uh,
like to the extent of what that was, but like it's not an accident he didn't have a film career. You know what I mean?
mm,
Yeah.
okay,
Like stuff like that. Like
gotcha.
whatever. People that have film careers are people like the great George Miller and Anya
Yeah.
Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth, very talented people. We're here to talk about Furiosa at the end of its box office, which is unfortunate,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's I it's not fun to talk about box office stuff. It's not the point of why we go to see movies and talk about them. But it is, I think it is the bummer that it just like did not hit immediately.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, you've got material for failed blockbuster.
I know, yeah, but I'm sad about it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, like I don't like that I have that it's an opportunity to talk about that. It's just like, ah,
Yeah. No, that's rough. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of rough for everybody. It's not just them. It's Furiosa, it's Fall Guy. Uh it's I mean, Kingdom did fine. I think Kingdom did well enough. Kingdom and Bad Boys, and probably soon to be Deadpool. So
hmm
yeah.
it'll be your summer, unless Horizon pulls off the greatest upset in the history of America, where 40-plus-year-old dudes who love Costner are like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, you know, excellent
Yeah.
point to bring that up. Happy Father's Day. That's gonna be a
Yeah.
dad
We're
movie, I
recording
think.
this. Yeah.
Happy Father's Day, everyone.
Get your
I,
Father's Day cake, Bedelia.
oh, there we go. Yeah, fuck yeah, creep show. Um, I think I'm gonna go see my Godfather later today after
Oh,
this
it's good.
recording,
Yeah.
and I was gonna wish him Happy Father's Day and all that jazz. I'm gonna see if he knows about Horizon. I've talked to Gene about this before, brought up in the podcast. My godparents are sort of the barometers of like whether or not something's crossed over into the mainstream. For me, it's like if they've heard about it, that means it's like it's a real movie to the real world, not just on Twitter. You know, so we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I'll
Well,
inform
Costner,
everyone later.
he's been on what Yellowstone for the past few years, and apparently
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge hit
Mm-hmm.
um with that demographic. So I don't see why it wouldn't, but I mean also I can see that its runtime is probably like, how about no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I'm not gonna. I can't tell them the runtime. If they've heard about it and like, I want to see that, I'll be like, oh yeah, it looks good. Because I actually do think it looks good.
Yeah, it
Like,
was cool.
yeah. It's nice to watch a filmmaker with the capabilities of blocking actors and
Hmm.
scenery and extras. Movies don't have extras anymore for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
Yeah.
Furiosa does though, so we should. I'll get us back on topic right
yeah, yeah.
now.
It does.
Yeah, Gene, you posed a question to us in our
Hmm.
in our prep chat for this this recording, and you wanted to know like what's the first thing we would do and put in the wasteland, and I kind of want to hear from you first too, like because I thought about that for a little bit, honestly.
Right. Joke answer Jay Leno's car, which was like an old timey 1920s car, but like serious answer, I would say like a Batmobile. The Batmobile, it's owned by Warner until it's
Oh, okay,
not.
you would take like one of these cars.
Yeah, one of these
Okay.
cars. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would ride. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I didn't think about the car thing. I just thought like what to do in the wasteland. I think if like the world fell apart and it got that bad that fast. Um, I think I just kill myself. I'm like, no, that's yeah, that's
Yeah.
there's no way I'm getting through
Mhm.
this one. Um, or I plant a peach tree in my chest cavity, and then the tree grows and people can eat my peaches.
Mhm.
That sounds weird. Don't do that. Never mind. I
Yeah,
don't
that
know. I
sounds
don't know
real
what I would do.
weird.
Sorry. I was trying to think of something nice and that was like really weird. But anyways, Max, what's the first thing you would do in the wasteland?
You know what? I've always been good at history. I like dates. I like trying to remember things. So I probably think I'd make myself useful and be something like a history man or like a storyteller and just do that. And like, I'll always have use someone because they'd be like, you know what? You're entertaining. I'm gonna keep you around. Be like, cool. I don't have to maraud or kill. I can just tell you shit, and you
Yeah.
could be like, whoop. I
Okay,
think I'd
no,
do that.
that's great. Before I kill myself, I'll be like, Max, give me one last word burger, you know?
And on this day, Diego killed himself.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah, yeah. Like, what was your favorite thing about that guy? No, no, I don't know. He killed himself really fast. That was cool. No, but yeah, let's just talk about Furiosa then. Jeannie also posed a question to us about like a George Miller Renaissance,
Mhm.
and I don't know, like he never really went away. It's just like he did Happy Feet in the 2000s, and that's kind of the only thing he did then.
Mhm.
Um, and and then he comes back for Mad Max Fury Road, which takes up like, I mean, that basically takes up 30 years of his life trying to get that
Right.
movie made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 90s trying to get it made.
Yeah, and 2000s, because as we know, one of the reasons it was delayed was the September 11th attacks in 2001.
Was
Right. For
it
some
really?
reason. For
That's
some
yep,
reason.
that's real. That's not just a
Oh,
running gag on the show. That's real.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it's 1,000% real. That is no joke to the listeners who think I'm being sarcastic a lot of the time. Um, I don't know, like where did we all start with George Miller? Was it the Mad Max series? Was it other
Um,
stuff?
yeah, it probably was for me at least like Babe, Pig in the City.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, I think Mad Max was on loosely. For whatever reason, I distinctly remember we were at home and I think someone just turned TV on, and it was either the Road Warrior or the first Mad Max film. They were like
Oh.
under a highway bridge or something, and somebody's screaming. And I just remember my dad yelling, "Oh, that's movies right there." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the first time my first George Miller film really was probably Happy Feet. But I'm so Happy Feeted out because my brothers, they're very much younger than me, they played those two movies to death. So I'm for me, I guess more or less Fury Road is my more or less first George Miller film. Because Happy Feet, I have wiped it from my memory because I'm tired of it. I'm sick of Happy Feet.
Hmm.
Yeah. For me, it was Babe and Babe Pig in the City. I know he didn't direct the first Babe, But everyone knows who directed Babe Pig in the City, which is
Mhm.
a truly wild film.
It really is.
It's a good film. It's a great film. Just I think people expect kids like they hear kids movie and you think like, what does that even look like coming from the director of Fury Road? It both sounds exactly and unlike anything you could have thought of coming from the director of Fury Road. I actually was terrified of penguins as a
Mhm.
child, so I skipped Happy Feet for a long time. Um, but we didn't have time to get into all that. I brought that up before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I guess the main thing we have to talk about is like Fury Road going into Furiosa, because Fury Road has kind of been claimed as like if not the greatest action movie ever made or the greatest movie ever made, it's in the conversation for both of those categories, for those
Mhm.
qualifiers. Um, I think it's like top five things ever made by humanity, probably. Like it might just be the greatest work of art in cinema, like ever. Like I truly
Yeah.
believe that. So it's fine if I didn't love Furiosa as much as Fury Road. Now, anyone that pays attention to my social media knows that I obviously loved Furiosa, so I don't need to go on very long about this. Um, and then Max, you're spot on the Action for Everyone podcast. You've shared thoughts as well, and I want to get back to you to expand on those as well. But Gene, we've not
Mhm.
heard from you on this podcast about Fury Road and Furiosa. So, what are your thoughts when you first see Fury Road again, or Fury Road for the first time?
Mhm.
Um, and then your thoughts coming out of Furiosa almost a decade later.
Yeah, so I love Fear Road. I think I saw it like 2 or 3 times and just kept seeing it. Oh shit. But yeah, I just like loved it. It was like pretty great, pretty incredible. I think like Tom Hardy as Max is like great, you know. So it's like, awesome. Yeah. So it's just like yeah, I loved it. What a great year for like movies the summer of 2015 was. But yeah, and then Furiosa, just it was like incredible. It was like a different kind of movie. I'm glad we got to exist in the world of like the wasteland for like 3 hours, and it was just cool. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask both of you as well, and then want to hear from Max. Did you feel that you had to like adjust your brain to the movie coming off of Fury Road? Like how did you watch Fury Road recently before watching it, and then did that affect your like perception of the movie as you Furiosa as you watched it? I guess is the question.
I did watch Fury Road before I saw Furiosa. In fact, I think we watched it like an hour up until we left for the movie.
Mhm.
And Seuss was him and Han like, oh, I want to watch it. And then she's like, oh my God, it's so good. I'm like, yeah. And so for me, I think that when I saw it in theaters for the first time years ago, I know I remember watching the trailer and I was like, that looks incredible. Like I thought it looked great. And then watching it in theater, 2015 was what, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So I have no idea at 19, or maybe I was still 18, what my thought was, other than like this is like I couldn't. That was a lot for like 2 hours. Well, not even two. Yeah, for 2 hours. But still blown away. And I've seen it more than a couple times since then. And like I said, we rewatched it right before we went and saw Furiosa. And it's still, I mean, not only does it hold up, it's just you can't look away. Like there's not an ounce of fat on it where I just feel like I can step away from it. Like no, every moment I'm like there's something new to look at, something
Mhm.
new to feel, something new to hear, to see. Like it's just incredible. Um, Leading up to Furiosa, I didn't really get the criticism that it looked different. They did, for me, large parts of Furiosa, like it did feel like the same film, like it came from that same universe. There are elements of it that feel a bit perhaps larger in scope, more
Mhm.
grandeur. Um, but throughout for the whole of it, I was just like, this is very much the prequel to that movie. I felt it. Now I didn't see 4,000 years, 3,000 years of longing, three
2000
thousand
years
years of
of
longing.
longing. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was
I
good.
missed that during
Yeah.
its initial run, and I have to get on it. And I've heard a lot of people say it's very much in line with that. which even then, like watching a trailer for that movie, still looked like the same movie from the guy who made Fury Road. So for me, this is all from the same dude. Um, so nothing about it makes all of it is cohesive, and even more so because I finally watched Thunderdome.
Mm.
Thunderroad's a great name, actually. And Thunderdome also has that sort of mythical quality to it. It's not as good as Road Warrior, the first one, or even Fury Road, but it still has a very kind of mythic quality with its storytelling, which translates over to Furiosa. So for my money, it's all still the same guy. He's just operating. I feel like in a sense he's operating bigger than he ever has,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's so much more intimate at times.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad to hear you locked in regardless of like the different tone and the style. Like this one it's paced like a movie straight out of the 70s, like a revenge thriller from the 70s, which is like wild because it's obviously so much more than a revenge story. Like it is, but it's not just about killing the guy, you know. Not that revenge stories were only that back then, but just there's so much in this movie, like thematically and like empathetically with the characters. Like even like Chris Hemsworth's Dementis character, like on some level you feel bad for like this dude who's so fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just like you see how he like devolved into that bit without knowing his backstory. You see how someone can get like that in that world, and of course, the great Anya Taylor-Joy is Furiosa. Like, there's so much in that performance and in that character. Even seeing like her backstory in this movie, it's like you don't need Fury Road. Like, this could be its own thing. To the point where I know some people saw this first and then went back to Fury Road, and now we're gonna go back to the other movies. I showed Fury Road to friends on a San Diego getaway vacation, and I just never seen them locked into a movie like that
Mm-hmm.
to the point where like a week later we made plans to go see Furiosa, like all of us. And one of my friends, Adam, happy birthday. We celebrated his birthday last week um and he texted me a week later. It was like I've seen it 3 times now. Like Fury Road, he saw Fury Road 3 times like in the week from like us getting back, and I was just like, wow, like that's like crazy to me. Like I love that movie too, but like I I I don't know when he had time for that also, but whatever. I'm glad he saw it. Um, and so I wanted to ask that question about like adjusting to the tone and like the pacing of Furiosa because when we all saw Furiosa, we were positive on it. Some people were, I think, a little more hesitant to be immediately positive on it because they're like, that was weird.
Yeah.
That wasn't it wasn't Fury Road, and that's okay. Like we all understood that. But some people were like, I don't know. It was the pacing and the CG. I didn't think the CG was an issue. It is obviously an intentional like fantasy element, and I think it provides like almost this feeling of like an alien landscape a lot of the time, you know? And I thought it was mind-blowingly effective. Um, but I will say like the first 15 minutes was basically just me like, yeah, I like everything I'm seeing. I don't know how to feel. I felt like my brain recalibrating as I was watching the images and the sounds and like then after like a couple minutes, I was like, okay, I'm in. And by the end, I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. I didn't love it as much as Fury Road, but I loved that. That was a great movie. And then the drive home, I'm like, oh fuck, that's like the best movie of
Yeah.
the year. Oh shit, that's so fucking good. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, that was so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? Like I want to go back and see it before it leaves theaters like in 2 minutes. But like it's so good. It is ridiculously good. Um, and I wanted to ask about the recasting as well. Um, Gene, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agreed that the Furiosa needed to be recast because it's like the de-aging would just not look good. It just wouldn't. No.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree as well. His I know some people don't like recasting. I think we follow some people who are very much against that, but for me, I'm like I'd rather you do that than de-aging. And also like his argument made sense. Like it didn't look good. I'm sure he liked working with Charlize. Was like I I don't want to de-age you, you know. Um, but to that end, I'm also surprised he didn't have more of a coda with her to bring her back. Um, but I mean, no, I completely fine with it. All things considered.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too long on this, but I do want to unpack it a little bit, just because on one level he does basically he doesn't de-age, but he does take some of the framework of Anya Taylor-Joy's face and supplants it onto the younger actress, right? It's not a one-to-one like take your face, put it. It's not. No one's taking a face off, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It's just like okay, let me shape this young child actor's face, who's very good as the young Furiosa for like the entire first 45 minutes, 50 minutes of the movie, right? Like really great performance. But like
And
you know,
I
there's
should
like
note that young actress, if any of you have seen it, she's in Sting,
Mm.
that spider horror movie that came out like in April.
oh, okay. I've
Yeah,
been
that's
meaning to
her.
watch that. That's the I
I
just want
liked it. I
I
liked
gotta
it.
shout that out too. The very first interview I ever did was with the co-writer of that guy's first movie. It's his brother, Kia Roach Turner, I think is the director, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
his
I
roach turn. Yeah.
got to interview the co-writer for Wormwood, Road of the Dead, which is a banger, like a straight up banger. So go watch that. It's tons of fun, and I want to go see Sting. Especially now that I know this actress is in it because she's really good in this.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, she's fun in that. That feels like a B movie from the 50s updated to today with gore and everything. And you'll see why like in the opening like 5 minutes you'll be like, ah, okay.
no,
Um but yeah, sorry.
no. That was great. I love shouting those guys out.
Yeah.
I really like their stuff. Um, yeah. So there's the digital altering. Um, I am for the recasting. I want to say this too. I think another thing that's it's not really been talked about outside of the book that came out, the Making a Fury Road book from
Hmm.
that one
Oh
journalist.
yeah, yeah. That was a good
Um,
read.
yeah, I haven't read it yet. Um, I'm not surprised Charlize didn't come back. Now, whether or not
Yeah.
they should have um maybe had a discussion between her and George Miller about the movie, I don't know. It's not my business. But it sounds like that movie like made people want to kill each other, Fury Road. Um, and like whatever. Like I hope everyone's on decent enough terms now. I want to shout out Charlize for being the most politically correct in responses to that because I think it was like her co-star from Long Shot had brought up Ice Cube's son. Um I can't remember his name, but he's I like him as an actor too. And he'd mentioned like
O'Shea Jackson.
Shea Jackson, yeah. He's good. And he had mentioned like, you know, they're doing a Furiosa movie without you. Like, what the hell? And she's like, they're just going a different direction. And that's like all she would say. So she's not out talking shit. There's no
Hmm.
nothing like that. It's
Yeah.
just now whether she's in, she would be in the right to talk a little shit. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying like it's a very complicated emotional situation between these actors and directors, I'm sure. Um,
Well, it sounds like between her, Tom Hardy, and then also there was a point in the press junket with Anya Taylor-Joy where she like asked me about the making of this movie in 20 years. Sounds like there's nothing wrong with Miller's direction. It just seems like these are very punishing shoots.
mhm.
Now, in the case of Charlize and Tom Hardy, it seems like they also just didn't get along, which that doesn't help. But it seems like in general, the production of these movies is not not the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, they sound fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And I almost want to shout out to Anya Taylor-Joy for also saying like first thing like just so everyone knows like there's no one I would rather go into a situation like this by
Uh-huh.
my side than with George Miller. Like she made it clear
Yeah.
like not
Yeah.
him.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
stressful. So I was like, okay, because that the moment you don't clarify that, the out of context shit will just
Right.
fucking
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
hit
Yeah.
you, you know,
Yeah.
for good reason, I would argue, because we unfortunately know the history of this industry. There's a lot of directors who leave people in bad shape, unfortunately. So I
Right.
was just glad to hear that, you know.
Yeah.
I
Um,
Yeah.
do I do have a question, and this is sort of theoretical because none of us, I guess, really know. Well, maybe you two know because you've been on more film sets than I have.
Sure.
Um, but knowing that this production was more than likely very punishing, but Miller's a good person, all things considered. What is it that makes it punishing? Because if he's the director, obviously we know that he is approving and pushing things forward. So I assume there are things that's out of his control, like how hot it is, for instance. Um, but to having her, like for instance, if he actually had her hang on for dear life underneath the war rig in that middle action scene, um, could that be considered, I suppose, dangerous because and therefore punishing for her because she's maybe risking her life? Now, obviously, we don't know if she actually was underneath the war rig or what have you. But I guess is my question making sense? At what point does a punishing shoot does fall on the director? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. Because it sounds like it's mostly punishing, just like again, I don't actually know any details beyond this. This is also me speculating. I think Miller demands a lot emotionally from his actors for the characters. And some I think that it's arguable that maybe that is too demanding. I'm not saying he is. I don't know, right? But like again, like these by Anya Taylor-Joy's account, it is not on him. So
Mm.
um so again, we're just going off theorizing here, but I'm willing to bet like just being in that headspace for that long, like for the middle action scene that you're discussing as well is the fucking the banger with the octoboss
Yeah,
and
Oh,
so
the
that.
fucking
and the
good.
bomby knocker with
The
my
bombing
fucking
knocker.
my favorite
Oh,
boy, the little guy in the
Oh
back who
man.
only exists to turn on the bomby knocker. I love that guy. Um, like that scene is incredible, right? But that took like 70 days to shoot.
yeah.
And people said like on this production of this movie that that's the longest like action scene they've ever been on. Like
Yeah.
70 days is fucking wild
Yeah. That's
for a
crazy.
single
Because I'm willing
sequence.
to bet he made Miller had them actually create a flying fucking motorcycle. I
Probably, yeah. Something crazy.
because I know there's the thing behind the scenes with Fury Road where they showed him the do for his guitar, and he's like, "Yeah, you can shoot fire out of it, but can you actually play music?" And they're like, and he's like, "Play music," and they're like, "Okay," and so they make it able to play music. So I wouldn't be shocked if they somehow made a flying motorcycle. Like that's so fucking cool. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, no, all the stuff in this movie, everything in every Mad Max movie is like the coolest shit you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like they're these great mythical stories and about the power of storytelling and cinema and like real heroism and looking out for your fellow man in the wasteland. But they're also just fucking sick. Like that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm willing to bet it is just like, look, it doesn't matter like if you love your job with all your heart, like it's your favorite thing in the world, like doing something for an extended period of time is just draining. Like it just is. There's nothing
Yep.
wrong with that.
Yep.
Um, fucking, I've like the best party in the world could go on for a month. That's like that's a long
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
So
Yep. Fair
maybe
enough.
it's just that. I'm not sure to what extent beyond that, but yeah, it's just good to hear that again. Like George Miller's not some raging psychopath destroying human beings, although people seem to be like momentarily destroyed when they finish the movies.
Yeah.
But
If
yeah,
anything, the other question worth asking is where does he get the energy from? Because what he's about to be 80. Um,
yeah,
so I
I don't know.
yeah, he's up there. I mean, yeah. I'm checking right now. Where you at?
yeah. I think he's either 80 or about to be 80.
He's 79. So Jesus.
Yeah, well, I don't know where he gets it from. And like I am bummed. Like I want to keep talking about Furiosa, but like just really quick, like I just want just do one more. Let him do one more. I
Yeah.
know he's got something in him. Like, uh like historically we all know that he kind of came up with not officially a trilogy, but like three movies alongside Fury Road, or like including Fury Road. It's like this Furiosa and Mad Max: The Wasteland, which is a solo Max tale. The only other solo Max tale he's talked about, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like just yeah, just do that one. Just one more, dude, please. Like,
Yeah, I would
I,
love to see
God,
it. I want to see it.
Would
I
you
mean, I
would
would,
either of you be satisfied if he ended up going the anime route, or do you want it live action?
I would want it live action.
I'd want it live action too, but like, if he did do it animated, we know he can do it.
Yeah,
You know, he can basically do anything.
yeah.
So I'd be game for that, honestly. Uh, maybe he might have to just like if because this is a prequel, so I think maybe you could argue like a prequel without the lead actress who portrayed this character previously a decade before, a film that barely broke even though it got a lot of awards play. That actress doesn't come back. Like, on some level, of course, this was gonna not make money, right? Um, but if you could argue, like, well, it's just a prequel, it's not a real sequel. So you could still do the sequel to Fury Road, right? So maybe you'll just have to rework the Wasteland being a post Fury Road story. I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
Well,
But
there's also the interesting bit that there technically is a prequel to Fury Road on top of Furiosa, and it's the Mad Max game, and
oh
which
yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
played, and that one literally has a character from this movie, Scrotus, but he does not look like the Scrotus in Furiosa. He is a raging, bald-headed, hulking mass of flesh. Um, so I'll be curious what that transformation looks like between
Yeah,
the
right.
game and
And
the movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I actually like that game. Like it's not like amazing, but I think it's pretty well made and in like in terms of like the open world stuff, like the car stuff, the car chases and the car action in that game is like super fun, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Um, I love getting into a car chase during one of those like thunder, lightning, sandstorms. Like
Mm-hmm.
that thing in Fury Road, you can play in that in the game, and they just
So
come out of
fucking cool.
nowhere. Like you
Yeah.
see the weather coming, you have to outrun it. Like it's pretty fun. Like I'm actually shocked that some people are like, yeah, it's whatever. Like I don't know. I've seen what makes you clap, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also Scrotus in that game doesn't he get like head stabbed with the chainsaw,
I
Yeah,
believe
right?
so.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and then he breaks the chainsaw and then like leaves Max for dead, and then the rest of the game you're going back to kill him again. It's like that's what a wild game.
Well,
That's a
I
great
wish I
Mad
played
Max
it. I
game.
didn't play it, but
I'm
yeah, I
sure
wish
you
I
can get it
did.
for
Oh
cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't sell well.
No, it
no,
came out the
it
same time
didn't.
as Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
Oh
It was a great game.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If you it's a good buy on Steam for like $5 to $10. That's like the best $5 to $10 you'll ever spend.
Yeah, yeah, the
Um,
Steam Summer Sale will be here in a few weeks. So if there's a time to get it, it'll probably be then.
yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, we brought up the prequel aspect of it. Like, do you guys think it was like too focused on any prequel stuff, or did it just feel like you could watch this by itself and not worry about anything else?
I think you could watch it by itself. Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree as
Yeah, Nick.
well. I actually really like the prequel, especially like the highlighting of Immortan Joe, who's not played by Hugh King's Barnes this time. Is it Hugh King?
Yeah, he passed away, I believe.
Yeah. He
He did,
passed
yeah.
away. Hughes
Uh,
King Baron, but Baron, Baron. Yeah. Anyways, he unfortunately died, and he's now played by Lockie Home. Um, but I really liked that they kind of gave him a bit more depth this time around, even though he doesn't say nearly as much as he did in the. Actually, I think he probably says about the same. But something I kind of noted on Twitter that it's really funny that in he at the end of the film, Furiosa tells him that oh man, what is his name? Dementis is trying to take the tower back, and that Dementis is basically trying to lure out Immortan Joe so they can ride up and take the tower, which is more or less the exact same plan that happens in Fury Road, but that one is sort of more spur of the moment, and yet Immortan Joe still falls for that anyway. And so I kind of just noted that the only reason why he probably falls for it is because no one's there to point out the obvious that if he leaves the
huh.
tower, someone will take it. Again, I understand that like when they come off that Planet Fury Road, it's very much like a last ditch. Nobody thought about it, but it's still kind of the same plan. And I find that very interesting about I think it says a lot about his character that he doesn't even think about that. Like he takes everybody in Fury Road and goes to hunt her down. He doesn't
Yeah.
like leave his one of his sons or whatever, but like, hey, watch the place. I'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I liked that. I like how much they highlighted his sort of tactical mind, so to speak. He seemed a lot smarter, which highlights, on Fury Road that he's very much more impulsive when he's like directly threatened.
Hmm.
Also, the movie is extremely funny.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
has some
it's
good
a lot of
moments.
that's due to Hemsworth, but him accidentally killing the guy during the meeting, where he's like, "Oh, hold it," and he lets it go and kills him. Um, is very very funny, very very funny. I think my theater erupted into laughter. That was great.
And then he gets his nipples ripped off, which is
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that like hurt me.
Yeah, that
yeah.
hurt to look at. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um. Chris Hemsworth, best Chris now.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
guys think so? Because I've been a Pine boy for a while
We've all
now.
been Pine
He's never
Boys.
not been my number one. Um. I need to see Pull Man to make sure he solidifies his status. I've heard the word of mouth, but I still want to watch it anyways. But Hemsworth is I've always been a shooter for Hemsworth too. He's been my number two. I think he's really come into his own as an actor and secretly been the MVP of like a lot of Marvel stuff.
Hmm.
I know he was outspoken about maybe feeling underdeveloped for a couple years there. No longer the case, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I think that franchise maybe didn't realize how important Thor and Loki were in the grand scheme of things, and it's not a surprise that they don't really have a direction in their
No,
big
yeah.
Avengers stuff without them. But hey,
Uh,
whatever. We're not here to talk about that. And I just think Hemsworth is ridiculously good, and I love that right now it feels like he has more like power over his own career than ever before.
yeah.
But
So
isn't he taking a step back from acting? Uh,
he's taking I think he's just taking less roles. Like he's not doing it for like branding purposes as much
no, I know
anymore.
it's because
Yeah.
I think it's health issues, but I thought I remember him saying that after Furiosa, he was like not retiring, but like he's definitely taking some time away. But maybe not. So, or maybe not as much time as I thought he was going to. But I mean, I think he's incredible. Really, the best villain performance of the year. That I don't think the movie is nearly as entertaining without him. 100%. He's great. I mean, his last line, "Do you have it in you to make it epic?" is like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
yeah,
oh, it's
godly.
great.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah. That's terrific. And to be fair, I do think he did technically take time off. It's just that this movie finished shooting like almost 2 years ago.
Hmm.
okay.
So I think that was the time off. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's going to take a little more time off, and he's by all means let him do that. I know he wants to spend more time with family and such. Um, and the information's out there publicly. I think he's not suffering from any illness yet. It's just he's more susceptible to like early onset dementia, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow, okay.
yeah, I
Crazy.
think that's what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
And so when he got hit with that news, it made him reprioritize some stuff, and rightfully so. So I hope things continue to go well for him and his family, including his wife, who was in this movie twice,
yeah.
two separate
Uh-huh.
characters. I love that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
um,
honestly didn't recognize her the second time around, and then I was like, oh, that is her. They just gave her a really fucked up mouth. So I was very
yeah,
shocked as her. But I love that because he repurposes like three other actors both outside this film and in this film, and I think that's awesome. Um, uh,
yeah.
yeah,
You know what that made me think of? I think it was your guys' last episode on Action for Everyone. Mike brought up like the
Hmm.
stunt guys who wear like masks and scenes and stuff like that, so they can
yeah,
just be used throughout the movie, right?
yeah,
The Mad Max version of that is someone looks really good and like beautiful, right? Like anyone, right? And then you bring them back, and then they're all fucked up, and their face is like torn and stuff like that, or they wear like a
yeah.
fucked up like biker mask or something, and so it's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the Mad Max version of that.
Yeah.
Is
Like the guy who
I
plays
mean,
Immortan Joe in this also plays Dementus's henchman, and you wouldn't know that because half of
I
Immortan
didn't know
Joe's
that.
face is covered up.
Yeah, yeah, fucking Morton Joe's in the first Mad Max. He's toe cutter in the first Mad Max.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. The
yeah.
guy who
So
plays
that's
Scrotus is the one of the other main war boys in Fury Road.
That's
Um,
right. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
And I was like,
perfect.
he looks familiar. I'm like, oh, his face is like slightly more fucked up and he has hair, but that's the same dude.
Yeah. Oh, I do love that. Like when everyone's like, "Oh, Morton Joe had another son, Scrotus," we're all just like waiting for him to die, and it doesn't happen.
Oh yeah.
And so
And
it's
he
like,
does
"Oh,
in
I
the
guess we're
game.
yeah in
He's
the game.
around.
There you
Yeah, he
go."
does in the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how they
Although I
tied
guess
in.
George Miller said he wasn't like a fan of it. I don't even know if he's played it. He might just be
Yeah.
wanting to hype up his boy Hideo Kojima, which is fine, you know.
I
But
think Gene, you were about to say something.
No, yeah, no. It's just like, yeah, I don't think he, yeah, cared for it. No, I don't think
It's
so.
too bad. It's fun. I will say because to reference what I was talking about in A3 a few weeks ago. I think for me the moment I locked in with the movie was when Furiosa escapes Rictus and her wig falls down into the tree, and then the passage of time shows like that tree, that branch just growing leaves. And for me, that was the moment where I realized, oh, this is like a Greek Odyssey. And I said this on the podcast, on the A3 podcast, but I don't think any piece of media I've ever seen made me want to go back and read the Iliad or the Odyssey more than this, because it's like, oh, this is a fable, this is a tale, and I really really love that. And I don't know if it beats out Fury Road, but I think like a couple of films that a lot of people like pitting against each other, like let's say Evil Dead, for instance. People are like, oh, you like Evil Dead one or two more? Do you like Armored? I'm like, I love my babies equally. I will not choose.
Yeah.
And I think I like this just as much as Fury Road because I
Hmm.
that element of it, that element of just that myth making, especially at the end in regards to Dementus, is just so beautiful and that's what makes it feel so much larger is that it's this tale, and you there might be some things embellished, but it doesn't matter because you're all like listening, like where does her story go? And I love that. I found that
Yeah.
fascinating.
That's good. Yeah.
yeah, I mean to the mythic thing too, I know there was like maybe like some of the lighter criticism of this movie was like, well, there's a Mad Max cameo, but we don't even see his face, and he doesn't need to be there. Um, someone else brought this up. I'm sorry, I don't have the post about it, but someone mentioned how like in classic like Greek myths about gods and such or heroes, um, they would often cross paths before their stories, like before their known stories, right? And then when they go back to like rewrite or whatever, like that's when these things happen. So to me, that I really like that reading where it's like Max was like, it's not like he was like looking out for her, you know. By that point, he's like, this is like the ragged, like feral Max.
Yeah.
Um,
He
and
doesn't
so it's
care
like
anymore.
yeah, he doesn't care, but maybe he does. Maybe he does like drag her closer to the Citadel, right? Or you could read it that like he is just overwatching the wasteland and letting whatever bad shit happen because he doesn't care anymore. And the people that drag her down beneath the Citadel are the people with the maggots, which is maybe the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in any movie released by Hollywood. That
Yeah.
was really repulsive. Very well done. I might fast forward a couple seconds on that next viewing. I just ugh, it was so gross.
That grossed you
But
out more than the first Omen birth, the demon
I don't know
coming
that
out.
because that's like
Maybe.
evil. You
Yeah.
know? I don't know, man. That
Yeah.
was crazy. I rewatched that movie, by the way. That's the second best directed movie to come out of Hollywood this year, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying that lightly. That incredible movie, Akasha Stevenson. Very excited for your next movie. Um, yeah, I mean, what else do I have to say about Furiosa? We could start wrapping up. I wanted to mention like when I logged this on Letterboxd, I said it's like a Sergio Leone style Western. It's a revenge fable. It's a biblical epic. It's paced like a 1970s exploitation
Yeah.
movie,
That's cool.
which is just like yeah, it's in this insane concoction of genres that like shouldn't work, but it does. And it's really one of the most beautiful movies I think I've ever seen. And that might sound wild because it's a very violent like action film, but it's more than that also, you know. Like I found it really beautiful that the ending of this movie, you can read whatever you want into it. Ultimately, Furiosa defeats Dementis. Now, does she just shoot him? Does she leave him for dead? I forget the second option, but Regardless of the literal text answer of how she defeats Dementis, Furiosa brings life back into the wasteland, life and hope. Like that is the ultimate truth of that finale. And however you want to read that, that's what happens. I, because it's a Mad Max movie, I like the idea that a tree did grow out of the man's pelvis, and he's now going to give. She turned hopelessness and chaos into something that can actually help people now. She has overcome that, and now she's had hopes like spring from that, from a place of barren waste. And that's such a beautiful idea. And it's just one of the most like interesting visual images I've ever seen in a movie. A
Yeah.
tree growing out of a man.
Oh, I agree. That's
Oh,
a it's a beautiful ending. A beautiful ending to a like weird to say, but like I don't think he's nearly as fucked up as Immortan Joe, but like still fairly fucked up person to like there's use in his death, which is I think beautiful. I will say I know I've been joking on Twitter about Junkie XL. I oddly didn't mind his soundtrack here. Yeah, obviously he's not Fury Road and he definitely repeats motifs, but I was like he didn't cook, but he didn't do what he did in GXK and make me want to shoot myself. Um so he's on Junkie XL watch continues. He's from the Netherlands and I can send him to the Hague whenever I want. Uh,
I respect
Yeah.
that. Yeah. The movie plays like with I know Brandon brought this up on your guys' episode as
Mhm.
well at A4E, but like the silence, it's in some ways a much more like calm, quiet movie over long periods of times. And often it's just kind of like a light thumping of the drums that builds to the back of scenes, right? It's very
Yeah.
there's no brothers in arms moment, if you will. At least sonically there isn't,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's obviously the
Yeah.
scene with Pretoria and Jack, who's maybe the coolest guy ever, right? We
yeah.
can't believe we didn't bring him up.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the music is much more like subdued and like dun, 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 which is you're fine. Junkie XL, like I also got my eye on you. But not bad. Not bad here. Gene, any final thoughts?
No, just go see it because it's just like not doing well. So yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone just when it comes out on digital, everyone just buy it. Tell everyone to buy it. Steal mom and dad's credit card if you're younger and buy the movie. This won't come back to bite me in the ass.
No,
Just
yeah.
go do that.
No.
Okay. Anyways, that is a joke for
Hmm.
anyone out there. Don't do that. But just tell your mom and dad to buy it
Yeah.
individually. All of
Get
you
it.
buy it.
It's
You
a
don't have to have
Father's
your
Day
mom.
gift. Get it for your
It's a
pops.
great Father's Day gift. It's a great Father.
Yeah.
Take dad to the theaters right fucking now.
Exactly.
Yeah, Gene, Max, thanks so much for joining me. Gene and I's stuff is always down below. Max is on a lot of stuff. I want Max, where do people find you? Hype yourself up because you do such great
Yeah,
work
you're
and you're
great,
so helpful and
Max. I love
you're
you.
such a great friend. Yeah, what
Do
awesome
you
shit are you cooking up?
well, I'm currently doing editing for the Waffle Press. I've got some got a little homework ahead of me that I'm getting to start cracking on tomorrow. And so you can find me on the A4E Discord, the Waffle Press Discord, Twitter at ODST Spartan. Yeah, I'm doing background work for you guys. I'm meeting with Mike this coming Friday to look at some Twitch stuff for A4E because there's stuff he wants to get going for Big Bad Film Fest, which is happening, I believe, in August. So yeah, doing that in the background. Still out there looking for work because
Yeah.
it's rough
Hire
out
this
there,
guy.
homie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's where you can find me: Discord, Twitter. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks,
All right.
man. It's been great having you on, and I hope to have you on for the foreseeable future, basically. And yeah, hire Max. Give
Yeah,
him
hire.
money. We all need it,
All the
unfortunately.
money.
But he deserves it more than most of you. So take your money and give it to Max.
Yeah,
And also
exactly.
us in the Patreon. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Gotta show the love a little bit. But all right. That's it for us today. Go see Furiosa. We'll be back soon. We still gotta talk Bad Boys. We still gotta talk about Gene. Are you gonna talk about Deadpool versus Wolverine, Gene?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, at some point. Yeah, I will on my
yeah,
Have
okay.
you sworn it off,
comics.
Diego?
I don't know. Like here's the fucking thing. We'll wrap up right now, but like if like my godfather wants to go to the movies, I'm not gonna tell him no anymore. I like him too much. Like I told him like I wasn't interested in seeing Argyle because he thought it looked kind of fun. I felt so fucking bad. I was like, I should have just gone with him. Yeah, like nothing bad happened. He didn't like get in a car accident or something, and I was like, I should have fucking done it, you know. But it
Yeah.
was like, nah, I'm gonna go. Whatever. I like my family. Not. I'm very lucky to have a very loving, supportive family. So I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go. If he asks, I'll go. Basically, a little
Yeah.
cousin
I'll
asks,
probably
I'll go.
I'll probably go and I just won't say anything about it. Like I know I've been shipped on like I'm gonna go. I know I'm gonna go, but like I'm not gonna say anything because
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
whatever. It's if the movie makes more money than God, it's not on three individual podcasters, you know. Like it just looks fucking bad. I don't want to see it, but like I'm not gonna cause a fuss to someone whose world doesn't revolve around movies like mine does. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, go see Furiosa and then if you have to, Deadpool and Wolverine. And then see Furiosa again to make up for that.
Yeah.
How about instead of either, we make instead of Deadpool and Wolverine summer, we make it Long Legs summer. Just go see Long Legs because
There
I've
we
been
go.
hearing nothing but
I do
great
want to
things, and
see it.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks so fucked up.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
excited for that. Yeah, we'll probably do something on Log Legs as well. That looks like a good movie.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you didn't like us, like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional.